Hey, Dave O'Sullivan here, and in this video I want to share with you the 5-step process that you can use to consistently get great reviews and referrals in private practice so that you can be that go-to physio in your town. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Dave O'Sullivan. I'm a professional sports physiotherapist who's been very fortunate to work with some of the top athletes all over the world. I'm the author of Happy Progressing Patients, and I've mentored over 1,000 plus therapists all over the world. Now, this 5-step process is going to give you the confidence and clarity to help even the most tricky cases that walk into your practice. Now, before we get into the 5 steps, there's something that you need to get very, very clear on, and that is what is value to your patient. And there's actually 2 types of value, and very often I see therapists disrespect the first type of value. So what is the first type of value? And the first type of value, the most important type of value, is perceived value. So perceived value is the expectations that your patient has when they come to see you. Now, in the subjective assessment, if you do not get clear on the perceived value of the patient, then it's going to be very, very hard to deliver this to the patient. So this is where the subjective assessment, you have to ask higher quality questions to extract this information so that we can better design value-based treatment plans. So there's perceived value, but there's also actual value. Now, actual value is only created when the expectations of the patient is being matched. So in order to get raving fans that give you reviews and referrals, you not only have to deliver what the patient is expecting, but you have to exceed those expectations. And that is the ultimate thing to understand here. It's not about range of motion, it's not about progressions of exercises and muscle strength and all of that is progressing. Unless your patient perceives that value has been delivered, then no value has ultimately been delivered, because patient experiences a feeling. They must feel the difference throughout the day in their day-to-day life. And the patient's perception of your service is ultimately the measure of your success or failure. It's not how much range of motion we've increased, how much strength we've increased, it's if the patient can feel the difference. So what is the 5 steps process? Well, step 1 is we need to know the expectations of the patient. And that's where in the subjective assessment, we have to ask better high quality questions for the patient. One such question: what's your definition of success from working with me? That's a very, very high quality question that's actually going to give you an insight into what the patient actually wants to achieve. And very often it's not just they want to get pain-free, they want to do things in the real world. The second thing is we need to know the other outcomes that the patient wants to do along the way. So what are these outcomes that the patient needs and wants to be able to do on a daily basis? And these outcomes are a yes or no answer. Are you able to do this outcome in daily life? And you need to be able to tick off yes they can or no they cannot. So we have to understand what are all of these outcomes that the patient wants to achieve on their journey with us until we actually discharge them. And then the third thing we need to do is we need to analyze actually how to give this value. And that's where we use our objective assessments now slightly different, where instead of just going through the motions or objective assessment, we actually assess these things. So here's where the patient currently is. Now let's look. If that patient wants to sit pain-free for 3 to 6 hours a day, then we need to actually understand how are they currently sitting and what's the gap in order to achieve the outcome. If they want to be able to pick up their kids, how are they currently picking up their kids? What's the gap that we need to fill in order to achieve this outcome? The fourth thing is we need to set expectations with the patient. If the patient is expecting this result to be tomorrow and it's going to take a little bit of time, then there's a mismatch in expectations. We have to get that patient's expectations to match current reality. And that's where we need to be able to confidently explain to the patient, here's your problem, here's the solution and plan, and here's how many sessions it's going to take. And then the fifth and probably most important component after we've set expectations is we need to find out what the issues are and actually fix it. We need to then optimize our treatment plan specific to each outcome that the patient wants. And the good news about doing that is when we optimize it towards the outcome, we're optimizing it specifically to how the patient defines value. And if you can do that, then you can consistently generate reviews and referrals. Now, here's the big problem. We as therapists have been conditioned to focus on pain, muscles, and pathology. We speak and think in terms of pain, muscles, and pathology. But our patients, they speak and think in terms of outcomes. I need to be able to sit pain-free for 6 hours. I need to be able to lift my kids. I need to be able to do the gardening, whatever it is. This is how the patient defines value. So the customer rarely buys what the therapist thinks it's selling them. So our job is we must condition ourselves as go-to therapists to think and speak in terms of patient outcomes. We must change our conditioning. We must now therefore optimize everything we do towards those patient outcomes. Every hands-on technique we do, every rehab exercise that we prescribe, it all should be optimizing towards the patient outcome. And if you can do that, then you're giving yourself no choice and you're giving the patient no choice but to feel the difference in everyday life. If the patient feels the progress, they will continue coming back because they know that they are making progress and there's more progress to be made. And it really is small hinges swing big doors. So if you'd like some help with this, just look in the description below this video. I've got a free guide for you to help you confidently predict how many sessions it's going to take your patients so you can set expectations and ultimately have time to deliver these great outcomes.